Trade my 4x4 for GC3, ain't no more freeless speed. I gave him chance again. I even told him please. I find it crazy the police.
All right, welcome to Scotty Talks. So we're gonna try something a little different today. We're not gonna do Philadelphia sports. We're just gonna touch on a few national topics today. There's a lot going on around the world. Not much going on in Philadelphia other than, you know, the sport's about to start up again. I'm Scotty. I'm here with my man Willy.
Hey.
You know, Scotty Drowned on Twitter, Instagram. Willy Da Vinci on Twitter, Instagram for Will. So yeah, just to give you a rundown of what we're going to do today. Like I said, we got some general topics. We're going to go through the Bubba Wallace situation, NASCAR. You know, was it a noose? Obviously. Was it meant for Bubba Wallace? We'll get into that later. We'll talk about that. I'm also going to talk about Mississippi State running back Kylin Hill. He received some very negative feedback over the weekend for a comment he made about the Confederate flag in Mississippi, and we'll get into that. It was very bothering for me to read that type of stuff. We'll get into a little bit of baseball. Obviously, it's back on a national scale. The Phillies will be back. That's exciting. And then we'll finish the show off with a mailbag, and we'll answer some listeners' questions.
Yeah.
So, how are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing good. Still a little hectic, but always good when I'm with you, my man.
Right. We got a little bit of a different setup here today because we're actually not together. I'm in Philadelphia.
I like this shirt, bro.
Yeah, man. I got this from my man Malcolm Jenkins.
Woo!
You know, support black-owned business. I'm supporting my man Malcolm, even though he's in New Orleans. Don't bother me any either way. You know, he stands for something I believe in. So
yeah,
that's what I'm going with that. I got Will over here in Maryland, you know, back home, and then I'm here in Philly, you know, in my little pad. You get to see my little room I got set up here.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
So this is how we'll be doing it sometimes. Obviously, we're not always going to be at the same place, but we're still going to get the episode out to you guys.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, let's start it out, man. NASCAR.
Hell yeah.
This stuff has been pretty crazy, you know. Over the weekend, it was reported NASCAR came out, broke it to ESPN. You know, they found a noose in Bubba Wallace's garage. It was the only garage they found a noose in, and you know, when it first came out, it was honestly unbelievable that somebody would do something like this. You know, put a random noose, such a symbol of hate and you know, torture and death, and just, you know, what black people and many other people have gone through. A noose is just not a good symbol. You know, it's almost like a Nazi symbol, in a sense, when you think about what it was used for in the past.
Right, especially during these times, man. Like, yeah,
I mean, right now, you know, it was so obviously crazy. On purpose. I know down in Talladega they had an airplane fly across the sky with a Confederate flag, because, you know, NASCAR banned the Confederate flag at their events. And, you know, it's just like people are going to these extreme lengths to do racist things, and it's really ridiculous, man. I mean, apparently there was a group of NASCAR fans, you know, outside across the street from the Talladega racetrack with Confederate flags across their trucks and vehicles and stuff. And I mean, you just hate to see it in this day and age. I thought we were progressing at one point, you know, and this year has really opened my eyes a lot. Like I said, you know, I got the Malcolm Jenkins shirt right here, and this was made 2 years ago. So, I mean, this has been going on at least that long, you know, this awareness and what's going on with police brutality and social injustice. I just kind of want to talk about their conclusion, though. The FBI did an investigation, and they concluded that noose had been there since October of 2019, which was last October, and they're saying when you go into and I had a hard time understanding this at first because honestly I don't watch a lot of NASCAR racing, but it's obviously a hot topic right now. It's on every news headline. I didn't understand it when they said, you know, it wasn't necessarily meant for Bubba Wallace. Like they get random garages, I guess, when they go to the racetrack. I guess they just give them out randomly. I don't know if they do it in order or what. But apparently there's no way that anybody could know that Bubba Wallace was going to be in that garage in order for them to point that noose at him, you know.
It just doesn't add up.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, man. And you don't want to question, you know, the FBI and, you know, your justice system. But, you know, it doesn't add up. It makes me wonder, you know, if NASCAR is doing it for like a publicity stunt. And I don't mean to point that towards Bubba Wallace because he's done nothing but say the right thing and do the right thing this whole time. But you have to wonder with NASCAR, you know, being kind of on the down end of national sports, are you doing this for publicity? Is this like, you know, the whole social movement banning the Confederate flags? Are you just trying to get like a more viewership, a wider range of viewers? It makes me wonder. I'm going to assume that they're not doing that just out of the goodness of my heart. But
right. I mean, but it doesn't. Like, what would you need that for?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. They're saying it was a garage door pulley, but who's out here tying, you know, ropes like a noose? I don't even know how to do it, honestly. So you'd have to look it up to even do that. And then if it's a garage,
take out wheels.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's a garage pulley, why has it got to be shaped like a noose? That doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't add up. And I was watching Bubba Wallace's interview. It was right after it came out that it was, you know, categorized as not a hate crime. And all he came on there and said, you know, he didn't say that it was a hate crime. He didn't say that it wasn't. He's basically just saying that, all in all, that's not a pulley. That's a noose. He's been in several garages throughout his career. He's been in racing for a while now, since he was younger. And out of all the garages that he's ever been in, there's never been a garage door pulley that is shaped like a noose, you know, with a hole for your neck to go through. That it doesn't make sense, man. And
it doesn't, and that's all I'm saying, man. That's just ridiculous. Especially if he says he's never seen it.
Exactly.
I go to garages all the time and don't see stuff like that.
Exactly. So. And I've seen a couple people, you know, tweet out about it. I even talked to a guy on Instagram through the comments of a post. He said he works for NASCAR in one of the garages, and he said that there's no way that noose could have been for Bubba Wallace because when they go into the racetrack, they don't know what garage they're going to be in. So there's no way that it could be that. And he also mentioned that he was kind of relieved that it wasn't categorized as a hate crime. Not because he doesn't want to see the hate crime, you know, punished, but that it's not a hate crime, you know. Like, thank goodness that we can coincide and not have to worry about the one black race car driver, you know, getting, like, threatened or whatnot. And, you know, just him feeling welcome to NASCAR and everything. So in that sense, it is good if that is the case. But I'm just highly skeptical that it wasn't a hate crime. And, you know, it's crazy what you know, businesses will do to cover up things and like I said, to get publicity. Because at the end of the day, what took NASCAR so long to ban the Confederate flag? And me, as somebody who doesn't even go to NASCAR races, I never even knew that was still a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Know,
like, it's 2020. I didn't realize that Confederate flags... I'm not from the South. Like, I didn't know that was just still fuming down there. I know it was really popular down there. I just didn't know that it was in and out of every, you know, race car track. But,
we had that one dude that's not even, like, relevant that, you know, was like, I can't even be here no more.
Right,
you know,
right. He's saying...
Confederate flag.
But it's always funny how they word those type of things, you know. He says, I can't even be here anymore. You know, because people have freedom of speech and rights. Mm-hmm. Dude, come on. Like, it's a symbol of racism. There's a difference between freedom of speech. You can't speak hatefully. You're not allowed to call people the N-word. You can't racially, you know, disrespect somebody. That's a hate crime, literally.
Right.
So you know, that's BS. And to him, you know, sayonara, dude. You never won a race in your life. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even relevant in your own sport that's not really that relevant. So, like, see ya.
Yeah.
You know, to each their own. Whatever with that guy. I mean, it's just, I'm not even going to get into it. I do have I have an interesting quote from the NASCAR president. So he came out and said, I think it was yesterday. So he came out and said, our ultimate conclusion for this investigation is to ensure that this never happens again. That no one walks by a noose without recognizing the damage it can do. And that's from the president, Steve Phelps. And I thought that quote was interesting because my thinking process when he says it is, why were you ever comfortable walking past a noose in the first place? You know what I mean? Man. Like I said, that's a symbol of hate. There's an obvious symbol of a noose. It means for the hanging. And, you know, you can direct it back to black people if you want to, you know, whether or not, we all know that they hung black people in the South. That was part of, you know, their rebellion and the whole Confederate flag, the whole Confederacy, you know, trying to keep slavery around and whatnot. And even if you don't associate it with the black culture, you would associate it with death and hanging. You know, it's not used for anything else. That's all it's for.
I definitely don't go seeing nooses.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever had.
I've personally never seen a noose in my life. I honestly haven't.
Yeah.
I can't ever say I have no recollection of seeing a noose in my life. So I thought that was incredible. But like I said, I think Bubba Wallace has handled this all incredibly. We saw the pictures and the videos of him, you know, with the entire NASCAR team just following behind him on the race car track. And for a sport that has been so far behind the curve as far as progressiveness and, you know, welcoming all types of people, for them to do that and the race car drivers to appreciate that and understand that, I thought that was pretty incredible. I think NASCAR is on the right track. That thing with Bubba Wallace, hopefully it just goes away and we don't have to worry about that again. Hopefully it never happens again. But just very interesting, very controversial, you know, all around. Because you even have people coming at Bubba Wallace saying, like, oh, you know, you're the pot calling the kettle black and, you know, bringing up racial issues, you know, when it's not a situation where it was racial. But you can't blame Bubba Wallace for that because Bubba Wallace didn't break the story and Bubba Wallace didn't even go into the garage to see the news.
Exactly.
So the president, Steve Phelps, you know, he got informed of the noose being in Bubba Wallace's garage, and he's the one that informed Bubba Wallace of the situation. So, this is not on Bubba Wallace. I don't even think it's on NASCAR for breaking the news too quick. I think they did do the right thing. It's just a matter of, was it a hate crime or was it not? We honestly will probably never know, and you just got to trust the FBI, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they know everything about us, so why wouldn't they know everything about that? I mean...
100%. And it's like, you know, it reminds me, because if it was publicity, I know it wouldn't be on Bubba, you know, because we had that guy from the Empire show.
Exactly.
Where, you know, he faked that, so it wouldn't be... I don't feel like that's one of those situations.
Exactly, man. I don't think so either. So, I mean, we're going to move on to the next subject. Like I said, there was this running back from Mississippi State, Kylin Hill, and he's actually a first-team All-SEC running back. And it came out over the weekend. I guess he said there was a tweet from the Mississippi, I believe, governor, and Kylin Hill responded to it by saying, either change the flag, talking about the Confederate flag, or I won't be representing this state anymore. And I mean that. I'm tired. The main point of this was not what he said, which I appreciate him standing up like that and speaking out and, you know, kind of holding his ground for his culture. But what I found interesting about this story is the comments and the feedback that he got on a post on Facebook that was found over the weekend. And I'm just going to read a couple of the comments. So, like I said, they posted the article of it, either change the flag or I won't be representing this state anymore. So we got Cindy Hethco says, bye, MFer. Danny Barrows, who are you? Just another football player who thinks he is important. You are not. Goodbye. Kathy Russell, thinks very highly of himself, thinks he's that important. Not. Go home. Michelle Tolos, I say take away his scholarship, send him packing, or make him pay for his own college degree. I bet you he don't have any money to do that, so he doesn't really have a leg to stand on. You're getting paid to play football. If you don't play football, then go home. That one was pretty crazy.
These are some hateful people.
It's very hateful, and it's obvious what they're getting at, assuming that he doesn't have money to go to school. We'll get into that after. I'm going to read a couple more. So from Don Burns commenting on the post. Another egotistical attention seeker after his 5 minutes. Boy, these nuts are coming out of the woodwork. All these people making demands of everyone else to give it up, take it down, change it, remove it all so we can all get along. When the ones blasting all the demands change and hate are the ones who aren't even attempting to get along with the rest of us. Jeez.
Like we owe something to these people,
I mean, get along. I can't get along with the person that is representing the Confederate flag. That's not possible.
Yeah.
For what the Confederate flag stands for, that's not possible. So there's a couple more here, D. Belding Garland, go somewhere else. What makes you think you are that great and are wanted here in Mississippi? You are replaceable. Joseph Ryan Harden, see how many pro scouts will notice how an egomaniac doesn't get his way and throws a fit like CK. Just doesn't work, bro. Holla. Woody Case, what's keeping him here? Oh, it's probably his mom's HUD house. That's another word for, housing units, the projects, HUD housing.
Wow.
His mom's HUD house and the welfare check she got all her life to be able to send his ungrateful ass to college. Kick rocks is what I say. Pat Knotts to Woody Case. Scholarships are a rare thing to get. He doesn't appreciate that he has one. Okay, fine. He should walk away. Go to another state. Go to another college. There is a way. Go through the transfer portal. Personally, I don't care. Number one, I'm not a Miss State fan. 2, I don't want our state flag changed. We voted and it was voted. Don't change it, so leave it. So that's all I'm gonna get into with that stuff. Honestly, it's very infuriating for me personally. I won't get into my personal opinion of it. But just to spit some facts about the situation. First of all, the kid isn't a nobody. He literally made the all-SEC first team as a running back. He's not a nobody.
Yeah.
He's talented. He did that. He did that in the SEC. You know what I mean? So, don't get on there and, act like you're somebody, to Kylin Hill and he's just nobody. Guess what, Danny? Nobody knows what your name is. Nobody knows who you are either. You know what I mean? You're not one to call him out for that. And 2, you're talking about scholarships as if only one school gives players scholarships. They get scholarships offered from across the country. He decided to stay in his home state and help the state out. And that's how he gets rewarded, because the Confederate flag doesn't appeal to him as a black person.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the main thing I'm trying to get across here is, the ungratefulness, the self-centered views of fans thinking that athletes have to play and just shut up. Laura Ingraham to LeBron James, shut up and dribble. But to Drew Brees, it's, hear him out. Keep your opinion. State your opinion.
Those things, bro.
What, he doesn't have a purpose in politics? Colin Kaepernick, though, you can't take a knee. You can't do that on the football field. That's not the stage. it's just this sideways, way of thinking that these players owe us anything. They don't owe us anything. They could quit tomorrow and they wouldn't be punished in any way. There's no way you could do that to them. Right. And what people have to realize is if these black athletes start getting tired of the way fans treat them, they're not going to play anymore.
Yeah.
And, maybe not all of them will stop playing, but it'll gradually happen, and people will start to fall out of sports. It will happen.
The majority of them.
It will happen. I've seen it with the baseball. I've seen it with basketball. Just shut up and get out there and play.
Yeah.
Whether it's COVID, whether it's the social injustice going on, just get out there and play. We don't need to hear from you off the field. Like, they're not allowed to have a voice, And
exactly.
I just thought this was a prime example, of ungratefulness. To say that to a kid, I mean, he honestly should go through the transfer portal and get out of that state. Go up north, man. They won't treat you like that, and they won't think. I'm not saying that everybody up north is not racist, but there's a higher chance than going to school in Mississippi, because obviously, if they have the Confederate flag part of their flag, they're a little behind, man. So I was just wondering, how do you feel about that, man? Like,
well, I feel like just like. That I feel like you say, that it needs something. All these players, they can change drastically, and I'm just thinking like how if someone like LeBron were to step down, a lot of people, because people look up to him as a role model, most people would step down. You know what I mean? That could happen,
right?
But who's to say about all these things? I really don't. I don't like how players are treated. It all looks like slave trades to me.
Yeah, literally, they're treating them like slaves, man. And it's the same thing with the owners, Give them their money if you want them to play. It's like with baseball, give them their money. Mm-hmm. They're playing the sport against all odds. COVID is a real thing. Like, it's real. And they're playing their sport. They're going out there and they're going to risk, their families' lives, their own lives. And, whatever. You can say the death rate isn't great, but that's a risk. Unnecessary risk. And I thought, because Malcolm Jenkins was actually on CNN this morning, and what he said really stuck with me. He's basically saying, football is not an essential business. It's entertainment. It's a commodity. It's a want. It's not a need. And
that is so true.
At the end of the day, if it's not safe for them and their families, especially with football, man, that's a whole other thing, with 60 guys on a team. There's no way you can quarantine and test everybody and keep everything. It's not like baseball and basketball where there's only so many players, on the field and such. But, yeah, man, when I saw that Facebook post against Kylin Hill, that one really set me off, It just made me think about how college athletes should be paid, Like, they are making those schools money. Him as an all-SEC pro, he's making Mississippi State money.
Stories,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even the Zion thing, they're making him go to court.
Zion.
Making him go to court. Look at what he made, the money he made for ESPN last year while he was in college. The money he made for Duke University, the money he made for college basketball. And you're going to take him to court, really? And you think him going to court, all you're trying to do is diminish his character. That's all you're doing to him. When in reality, he's just a kid. And pretty much, I guarantee you, most of the players playing college sports are getting paid in some type of way. They just only care about the stars. That's what's going on, They don't care if nobody gets paid to do it. But when Zion gets endorsements or whatever, then it's a problem, And it's funny because Florida is actually going to start letting their players get endorsements. So maybe everybody should just go play in Florida.
It sounds like it. But
with not slaves, man.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, exactly. No, I definitely feel like all these players that are playing, that they have to feel some type of way for sure.
You got to.
They're getting it's getting to the point. There's got to be a breaking point.
And you remember how we made fun of Kyrie, but like now a week later, I'm just like, man, he's right. You know, like to an extent, like as bad as I want sports back, I don't know if it's the right time. You know, we're gonna get them regardless. We're gonna get sports regardless, but I don't know if it's the right time, either because of COVID or the social injustice. It's gonna take attention away from it. You know. Yeah. Instead of protesting, we're going to be sitting at home, like Lou Williams said, with a beer watching the game. And unfortunately, that's not what we need right now. But
it's just so hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like you say, man. COVID or what's going on with the world. Who knows what is good for us?
Right. It's hard to say. Like. Mm-hmm. And we can't decide that for the players. The owners can't decide that for the players. They have to decide that for themselves, Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you got the virus and then took it home to your daughter and she dies, that's gonna ruin your life, And
yeah, man,
it's not worth the risk, unfortunately. Even if it is for a paycheck, they got enough money. It's not worth the risk, man.
Yeah, exactly, man.
But
crazy.
Speaking of baseball, man, we officially, since our last episode, it actually came out before we published the last episode, but they officially got the deal approved. Baseball's coming back. I believe the season's scheduled to start either July 23rd or 24th. They're going to head back to training camp on July 1st. At least the Phillies are. The crazy thing is right now, man, just like I was saying about COVID, like 7 or more of the Philly, people in the Phillies organization just tested positive, or maybe even 8 or more. And I think even more came out after that initial day where the 8 members of the organization were testing positive for COVID. So I'm like, man, they're going to bring these guys back in like a week, July 1st. And what do those guys do? I guess they just sit home until they're done quarantining. I mean,
right.
I mean, I know they got the protocol in place for when people test positive and stuff, but I'm just wondering how that's going to work. Like, what if Bryce Harper is one of them that gets infected? Like, do we just have to play the 60 games without Bryce Harper? It's the same thing for the NBA too. Do the Lakers have to play without LeBron if he gets COVID? Like, obviously, that wouldn't be a real, playoff without LeBron if he made the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But beside the point, we are happy that baseball is back. Besides what's going on in the world, we're going to accept it. And I'm excited to watch some Phillies baseball here in July.
Man, it's scary, though. Like, are they still going to Disney, like they said?
I don't know. I know the Phillies are actually going to be practicing in Philadelphia. No, I actually read today. I remember now. I read today that they're going to be playing in baseball stadiums without fans.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, for the NBA, I'm not sure what their plan is with all those, because they're apparently. I heard yesterday that Florida's COVID positive tests increased by 330%. That's craziness, you know what I mean?
Yo.
And the last time I checked, they had close to like 114,000 positive tests. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's not looking good. I don't know what their plan is for that. And even with the NBA, there's a lot of players. Avery Bradley said he's not coming back. Dwight Howard said he's not coming back. So how does that affect teams, like the Lakers, who lose two like considerable role players, before the playoffs? That's besides the point. Yeah, I mean, the Phillies. So, I mean, we're excited. We talked about it the last episode. Joe Girardi, he's going to bring a certain personality to the team. That's what I'm most excited about, the coaching and the managing. Just getting away from Gabe Kapler. I'm so happy. Like I said, Gabe's a good guy, not fit for Philadelphia or the Phillies. We need some discipline in there. But I think the shortened season is going to help the Phillies a lot. And I kind of just wanted to get my season projection out there on this episode, before it gets too late. Because, like I said, baseball is coming. So we got this.
Probably be in August.
Huh?
I'm thinking it start in August.
Well, they said their goal date is July 23rd or 24th. but it could change.
I thought you said we're going to go to training.
No, they're going to go to training camp on July 1st. And then the goal is to start the season the 23rd or the 24th. If they get that done, we don't know yet. We'll see. It'll probably get pushed back, most likely.
Yeah. But
either way, you know, that shortened season, the 60 games, I think that's going to benefit the Phillies a lot. It's a less amount of games, you know, for their... They still have a bit of a shaky pitching staff. So you're putting less work in on those starting pitchers, that main four that you got there, whether it's, you know, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, you got Jake Arrieta, you got Eflin, Vince Velasquez. Eventually, I expect Spencer Howard to get moved up if he doesn't start out the season up in the major leagues. But yeah, I think it's going to benefit in that way. You're gonna be able to play your starting pitchers a little more often because the games are going to be a little more spread out, given that it's only a 60-game season and not 162. So
yeah, I heard it. I saw a bad joke that they said this is the best thing that ever happened to the Mets.
Right. Hey man, I think for the Phillies as well, man. I honestly believe it. And even the one rule I saw that they're gonna introduce was the all-time designated hitter, you know, in the NL and the AL. Like I said last episode, that's gonna be very beneficial. The Phillies can do some crazy things with their lineups. You move Alec Boehm up to the major leagues. You know, you get him as a DH. You can throw a couple people in there. Jay Bruce. There's a lot of guys. And shout out to my man David Esser. We're starting to sign Yasiel Puig wave. We're fully on the train. We need to bring him in. He would be another dynamite, you know, backup outfielder. Designated hitter candidate. So let's get Puig to Philly. Right on. Let's get it done. That's all I got for the Phillies right now. I'm going to give you my projection on their season. So I did the math. Originally, I know a lot of people had us projected just around the 90 win mark, you know, during a regular 162 game season. So I went through, I kind of just divided that and then took the percentage out of the 60 games that 90 is out of 162. I can't remember the math off the top of my head. But I do remember it came out to just around 31 wins out of 60. I'm going to have them a little bit higher than that just because, like I said, the shorter season is going to benefit them a lot. So yeah, I'm thinking more around the 35 to 38 win range, which would put them with about 22, 23 losses, somewhere in there. That's what I expect. Like I said, the shorter season really helps the Phillies, and you just hope in this next off season they can address some pitching issues, and just get a steady 4 or 5 in there. You know, that was my worry going into this season was the fifth starter and even the fourth starter, you know, is still a little sketchy with Eflin. You hope that Joe Girardi and the new pitching coach will help Eflin out and get him right back on track. But they gotta get a solid guy back in there. What was that?
I said everyone's confidence sounded good. You know?
Yeah. I think the consensus over the Philly fans is, you know, 1, you're happy to have baseball back. 2, it's a better situation for the Phillies this season, and that'll give them more time next offseason to, you know, get those proper pieces in to make a fully, you know, championship contender. Because right now we're a little outmatched by a couple teams out there. That's all I got for baseball. You know, I'm excited. I don't want to get too deep into it, you know, until the season's actually here. We're going to have plenty of time for baseball, full episodes. So, I'm going to let it at that. We're happy baseball's back, man. It's exciting. You know, sports are coming back.
I'm excited. Hey, man, I got something to ask you before anything. Did you see anything about the Redskins changing their name?
Yes, I saw a... okay, so they took one of the original owners' names. They took, like, his statue or something down, I saw.
Okay.
And that's what I was wondering when I saw that they did that. Was if they were going to go and try to change the name. And then it's funny because I was literally going downstairs today after I wrote an article, And Alexis, like, my girlfriend, she called out to me and was like, Andre, they just changed the Redskins' name to the Red Hawks. And I was like, yo, you know what I mean? The Red Hawks. Like, that's corny,
I don't know if it's
but...
like official, but...
I mean, it's better than the Redskins, but damn, you know?
That's for sure.
But,
for sure.
No, she ended up saying that was actually like a hoax or something. I guess it was a fake account, a fake Adam Schefter account or something. And I'm sure it got plenty of people on Twitter and Instagram.
Either way, I think it's very interesting.
I mean, I've actually, you know, since all this, all these racial issues have come to light, a couple of my friends, you know, that are Redskins fans have already said that they're considering switching teams if they don't change the name, which is actually pretty crazy because the Redskins have some pretty loyal fans, you know.
Yeah.
But they've been, you know, dead serious with me. One person even said they're going to switch to the Las Vegas Raiders. But it's interesting stuff, you know. It'll be interesting to see how it works out, man. But all right, we're getting close to the end of the show. Let's hop to the mailbag section. You know, get a couple questions in for the listeners.
I got.
My man Will has the questions for us. He's gonna read them out to me.
All right, man. For the first one, it's from JD Talks. He says, 2020 season, if Clay and Steph were healthy, would they be top contenders? How do you feel about it?
Talking about the Warriors, right?
The Warriors, yep.
So, if they were healthy this season, I would definitely expect them to be in contention for the playoffs. I know they got Andrew Wiggins. I think he's like he's not good. He's very overrated, honestly. And he's owed a lot of money. They traded like D'Angelo Russell to the Timberwolves for Andrew Wiggins, and I think that was a dumb move, honestly. I would have just kept D'Angelo Russell. I think he's just a better piece. Even if you do have Steph and Clay, you know, bring Russell off the bench or move Clay to the small forward. But, you know, with Steph and Clay, I mean, these guys are experienced. They're lights-out shooters. You got Andrew Wiggins, who isn't really a shooter. He's like kind of a, you know, attack-the-rim guy. He can shoot a little bit, but he's a little shaky on that end. But he really likes to attack the rim, get to the rim, and get in the paint and finish. With him around, you know, that caliber of shooting, I think that could mesh all right. And then you have Draymond down there. But, I mean, they were, even with Steph, you know, and Clay, when your two top guys go down, you should still be playing all right. And they were at the bottom of the league, you know. And mind you, it's without Steph, it's without Clay. But a lot of those guys, you know, they used to have, you know, veteran role players. Nick Young, you know, Sean Livingston, David West. You know, just guys like that have been in the league, you know, experienced. They were good role players. And right now they just have a bunch of young guys out there. And, I mean, it's hard to say, you know, do you put them in over, like, say, the Portland Trailblazers, the Dallas Mavericks? I don't know, you know.
I think they go playoffs.
I think they could sneak in there and get maybe the 6th, 7th, or 8th seed, possibly. You know, if Steph and Clay are really, you know, playing out of their minds, and they usually do. Like, I'm not gonna lie there. But Steph, especially if he could get back to that MVP caliber with that, you know, that scoring ability now that KD's gone, they could definitely make a playoff run. There's just young teams out there like Portland with Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum. They're always fighting. Dallas Mavericks with Luka and Kristaps Porzingis. Those guys are going to be good for a long time if they can keep Kristaps. And then even New Orleans Pelicans, man. Now that Zion's back, they're a force, and they're honestly something to watch. They're a team to watch out for going into the playoffs with those 8 games that they could sneak into the playoffs. I honestly believe the Lakers would win that matchup, but that's not a matchup you want to see in the first round. You know, Zion, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. And let's not forget that that's a redemption series for those guys like Lonzo, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, who got shipped out for Anthony Davis. So that'll be interesting to see itself. Too. Yeah, the playoffs are going to be crazy, man. It's exciting.
I'm excited. He got 2 questions. So he said, do you think they will be top contender for the next season, pretty much?
Okay, so that's
well, we pretty
that's
much
an even more
that,
interesting question. Huh?
Yeah. I said we kind of answered that, though, didn't we?
Yeah, to a sense. It really depends to me. If I was the Warriors, I would honestly try to get Andrew Wiggins off the team, off the books this offseason, and, get another guy that fits in a little bit better, another, pretty decent shooter and a guy that can attack the rim. Something similar to a Kevin Durant, but, not Kevin Durant, obviously. There's nobody like Kevin Durant. But if you could just get that, swing forward that can shoot a little bit, I think that would fit a little bit better. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, unless Steph is playing out of his mind, Steph is in his 30s now, and all that dribbling and attacking the rim, getting hit and put to the floor, that's going to start to wear on him. And it already has, honestly. He's such a little guy.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Steph fan. Honestly, I love him. He's one of my favorite players ever. But like I said, he would have to play out of his mind, or Clay would have to play out of his mind, which we've seen that from a game-to-game basis, but we haven't seen that for, a whole season. So I would still put them, in the bottom of the Western Conference playoff contenders. Probably anywhere below 5 for next season. That would be my guess.
I can dig that. I honestly feel the same.
Yeah. It's hard to say, because we don't know what they're going to do in free agency. We don't know. Honestly, they should get the first pick of the draft, too. So it's hard to say,
But I am looking forward to seeing how they do, how both of them step up.
Yeah,
it's not
me
just
too.
on them anymore,
Yeah, and they kind of got ragged on that whole time while Kevin Durant was there, and I don't believe, maybe they wouldn't have won those 2 or 3 rings that they won with Kevin Durant. Maybe they wouldn't have won those against LeBron. But they did beat the Cavs without Kevin Durant. Let's not forget that, And people can say, Kyrie and Kevin Love were injured, blah, blah, blah. This past playoff series, it didn't matter when the Warriors lost to the Raptors, that Clay and Kevin Durant were injured. Nobody cared then, And even for that series that the Cavs actually did beat the Warriors, I'm a person that I'm sold on this conspiracy theory. And I'm not even... I used to be a LeBron hater. I'm not anymore. I actually love the guy. I love what he stands for. And I think he's right there with Jordan, honestly. If he can get, another ring or 2, he's going to be, the greatest. But that I think it was 2016, man, where they suspended Draymond for, Game 5. The Warriors were up 3-1. And, the kick to Steven Adams' nuts was in the series before, so why wouldn't he be suspended Game 1 or Game 2 of that next series? You know what I mean? Why wait until the Cavs are down 3-1 and then now all of a sudden that was a problem? You reviewed it and he needs to be suspended.
I remember that, man.
That sound, it's crazy. Come on. They needed LeBron to win that. The NBA needed him to win against the Warriors. And that's fine, good for LeBron. He got his, 3rd ring or whatever. Yeah, I mean... We'll see, man. The Warriors, like I said, they get the first pick of the draft. I think they have the worst record in the league, I'm pretty sure. And then whatever they do in free agency, if they can get Andrew Wiggins out of there, even if they keep him and they get the first pick of the draft, that's still going to be a valuable piece this season, as long as he's not a bust. But
I'm looking forward to see what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
Seriously. It was so funny to see him at the bottom. I mean,
man, it was weird. It was it was kind of like
is.
Steph kind of just said, "Screw this season, let's stack up. Get the first pick, and then let's stack up for the next season. Let's make a run." Maybe that's their plan. Maybe that was always the plan. Whenever Clay was going to be gone for season, who knows?
Yeah.
The Warriors aren't
Corona. I'm so thankful.
Right. The Warriors aren't a dumb organization. You know what I mean? They're smart enough to do something like that. So.
Yeah, it's for real. All right, so our next question, man. Colvin22. Who are the best options for the Lakers to pick up to replace Bradley for the playoffs?
That's a pretty good question. So I'm trying to think of some free agents right now. It's hard to even think about who's still out there, Obviously J.R.
Especially
Smith.
when you got some players leaving.
Yeah, exactly. obviously J.R. Smith got mentioned in the headlines as a candidate to replace him. You still got Deion Waiters there if he can get in shape before the playoffs. He can be valuable when he's in shape. Rajon Rondo's still there. You still got Alex Caruso, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Yeah, I'm thinking J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford's still out there. I saw him mentioned. Somebody said the Sixers should sign him, which I wouldn't mind either. He would add good shooting to them.
I was going to say Crawford over J.R. Smith. I'm not even sure if LeBron would even want to go back with J.R. Smith.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what J.R. Smith's going to do. And mind you, I remember his days in New York, the sixth man of the year. And even on the Cavs championship run, he hit some crucial shots. But he's just so, questionable with his intelligence on the court.
Yeah.
He's always had all the talent in the world, but he's just always made just some dumb decisions. I remember a couple years ago in the Knicks, he was untying people's shoes at the free throw line. And he got a technical foul for it, you know what I mean? Dude, you can't do that. That's weird. Anyways, regardless, He's similar to a Lance Stevenson. He's just really weird and makes some weird decisions. But yeah, I would say someone like that, or even if Mike Beasley is still in shape, man, he's a bucket. He's a walking bucket. I would even take a flyer on him if I was the Lakers. But you're not going to be able to replace Avery Bradley's defense, that's for sure, with any of those guys. I think J.R. Smith would probably be the better defender of the three I mentioned. But you got guys like Justin Anderson out there. What's the guy's name that used to play for the Knicks? Ron Baker. He's a good defensive guard, but he's strictly a role player. That's all that's really left out there are strictly role players, which that's what Avery Bradley is, but he's a little bit of a better tier of a role player if you ask me. But J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford, those would be my best guesses.
I feel you on that, man. I feel you. All right, so we got another question on two questions from Ira Silva. He wrote these on YouTube. He said, "What do you think about Miami making a championship run with the new playoff format?" It is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I like Miami's team. I don't like Miami. I like the Sixers, but their team is. I like the way they're built. I think they're probably one star away from being a real contender, but. I mean, the East is wide open, aside from the Bucks. In these series, these matchups, you could pick either or. If the Sixers match up against the Celtics, who do you pick? The Sixers should have been, in my opinion, without the injuries to Joel and Ben Simmons, they would have probably been a top 3 or 4 seed, and these guys are coming back healthy for the playoffs. But the East is wide open, so, say the standings stay where they're at right now, then it would be Miami versus Indiana. I think Miami should win that series. I mean, they could definitely lose it, but I think they should win that one. And then, depending how the rest works out, you just have to wait and see. I could see them getting to the Eastern Conference Finals if that's possible without playing the Bucks, but I would expect them to lose if they ever played the Bucks. But even matchups with the Sixers, I don't think they're. Either I think I would call that even, if the Sixers matched up with Miami or Boston. So I think the East is wide open, honestly. Championship contender this year, I don't know. Maybe if something magical happens. I feel like everybody's a step behind the Bucks in the East, pretty much. And honestly, the 76ers behind the Bucks, for me, honestly, talent-wise, I think they're the best team. But the Raptors are up there, Celtics, Heat. Those guys are going to be they're going to be tough outs, and so are the Sixers.
Yeah, I feel that. His next question is, since you're a Philly fan, who's a better franchise player, Embiid or Simmons?
Man, I might catch some heat for this one.
Because
as soon as I heard the question, it was an easy answer for me, honestly. It's Ben Simmons, in my opinion. When Ben Simmons does play, I know everybody gets pissed off at him for not shooting. But, I mean, without this guy, our offense is miserable to watch. he's such a facilitator. He's such a good ball handler, passer. You know, even if he doesn't score, he's going to be responsible for about 20 points just from assists, you know. And so if you put his points with his assists, which I think he averages about 16 points right now, that's about, you know, that's close to 40 points for him a game that's coming from his production, you know. So,
that's awesome, yeah.
I mean, I love Embiid. I love his personality. I love his skill set. I just think he can be lazy and he's untrustworthy, man. He, you know, he showed up to the playoffs last year. Some games he just disappeared or he was sick or there's just always something going on, you know. And eventually you're just waiting for Embiid. You know, Embiid's the better player when he's at his greatest, but you're just waiting for him to take basketball serious. And I know he's only 25, so that time still may come. But right now, you know, and given the injury history, I mean, Ben Simmons did get injured this year. But, you know, if you look over the course of their careers, the availability, Ben Simmons has been available since he missed his rookie season with, I think it was a torn ACL. But, yeah, I'm taking Ben Simmons. I think if the Sixers decided to build around Ben Simmons, and don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can't play together. I'm not saying that I want Joel Embiid off the team either. I just think if the Sixers decided to build the team around Ben Simmons rather than Joel Embiid, I think the team would work better as well. I think with Ben Simmons' fast break ability, you can still have a guy like Embiid there because he can shoot, he can work the post. But with Ben's athletic ability and his facilitating and able to get on the fast break, it would just be way better if they just surrounded them with shooters. Just put shooters around them. You know, take Al Horford out of there and just put shooters. You know, because Ben Simmons can get rebounds. He can do all the hard stuff. Tobias Harris can play power forward. I would honestly go small ball and focus, let Ben Simmons be the facilitator. Let him find people. You know, he's going to get people open. But ultimately, Ben Simmons could end up being the best player in the league if he can just start shooting the ball and actually making jump shots. If he can do that, he'll be the best player in the league, man. He fits today's style, you know, the big guard that can handle the ball, you know, similar to like a LeBron, KD. Can't shoot like them, I'm not saying that, but, you know, he has that potential with his ball handling ability and his passing. So I think, yeah, for me it's an easy answer. I know a lot of people, you know, would choose Embiid. I understand it. He's a very dynamic big man.
I feel that too, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Simmons as well.
And you know, even in, say, like matchups, you know, with the Celtics and Heat, when you're looking for mismatches, you're going to go to Embiid. But my thing is, the way the offense runs, it just looks really stagnant, and you have to go through Embiid when Ben Simmons isn't there.
Yeah.
So that's my choice, man. But
I feel you.
I guess that's what we only had. 4 or 5 questions. I think we said.
Yeah, that was actually all.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, a couple of questions. Yeah,
like we said in the last episode, man. That was actually a nice bit of questions, man. I actually enjoyed that. And, you know, it can be questions about anything. I have pretty good knowledge, you know, generally around all sports, all teams. I try to keep a good understanding of what's going on around Philly, you know. So the questions can be about anything, just general questions. And, you know, give you something to be interested in my show if you're just watching and you're not a Philly fan. So, send in questions. You can send them to our Twitter or Instagram account. ST Philly Sports 1. You can just DM us, or you know you can comment on the YouTube page. You can leave your questions there. That's always cool. But yeah, do you got anything else for this show, Will?
Honestly, I just want you to show off that shirt one more time. You know what I'm saying?
You aren't listening, man. Wake up. Open your ears. Listen to the real problems that are going on. You know, it doesn't have to be a battle. It doesn't have to be a war. It can be a discussion. It can be, you know, take the back seat and just listen for once. Listen to the other side of things and not just, you know, go from your own perspective.
Yes.
I always try to get, you know, look at things from different perspectives. I come from a white and black household. I'm mixed, so I get both sides of the cultures, and I've seen both sides of things my whole life. And honestly, as I'm growing older, it does get a little confusing, being a mixed child, and everything resonates with me from both sides, but you got to be open to other people's opinions and perspectives, and you got to meet in the middle. And that's what it comes down to with politics, sports discussions, everything, man. Any argument or discussion that you're having, you have to meet in the middle. You can't expect everybody to think your way every time,
Yeah, truly, man.
Yeah, so next episode, it'll be back to the Philly sports. We're going to talk about our, I guess it's not technically Philly sports, but we're going to get into our top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And a lot of it's going to, be about Wentz. We love Wentz, and he's in our, I know he's in both of our top 5. So we'll get into a little bit of that. And we're just going to have a countdown type of thing, with our top 10 quarterbacks. And I'm really looking forward to doing that with Will. Me and him are going to match our top 10s against each other, because I know we got 2 different ideas there. But I'm looking forward to it. We'll be back very soon. We're going to keep the content coming. Remember, go follow us on Twitter, Instagram, STPhillySports1. I'm at Scotty Drown, my personal account. Willie's at Willie Da Vinci. And go subscribe on YouTube, man. It's honestly, we're bringing you this content, and we hope you're enjoying it. Give us feedback. Let us know what we're doing wrong. If you want more of something, less of something, we're open to anything. We're just here to please the people and interact with listeners. And man. See you next time.
I'll see you. I'm looking forward to it, brother.
I'll see you soon, bro. I know we're apart right now, but I'll see you soon. All right, peace.
Peace. Oh, yeah. Let me stop this screen recording.